Hey everybody, how we doing today? How's it going? So I was thinking back to my college years, and I went to college at a small liberal arts college. It was in a rural area. It was the first time I had really ever left the urban environment to go live somewhere for an extended period of time. I still remember the first time that my father drove me to college. It was the first time I had ever seen people still that were riding horse and buggy. The first time I ever seen Amish people like in real life. The campus that I went to was a small campus. There was like maybe 1,600 students living on the campus. So it was a small college. Two cafeterias, one big one, one small one. I remember we had a library on the campus. The football team I was there to play football, which the football had a great tradition. Football team had a great tradition. There was probably, I would say at the most 30 black students on the campus out of the 1,600 that were there. Some of us played sports, some of us didn't. I played football for the team. I believe that there was maybe 5 or 6 of us on the team at that time. What I did realize, though, when I went to even on this campus, I realized that not all black people came from the same environments that I did. See, I guess I left my environment in where I came from. I kind of thought all black people had similar beliefs as to what I had, because I guess a lot of the blacks where I come from, the city, have kind of like the same beliefs or kind of fit into the same type of. I had came from more of a lived in government housing growing up. People call it the projects or whatever. Grew up getting government assistance. So a lot of the people that I knew in my life, whether they were black or white, were from that type of environment. So when I went to college, that's when I realized that not all blacks came from that environment. Because what I noticed is that the blacks that kind of gravitated towards each other on that campus, even out of just the 30 that were there, the kind of blacks that gravitated towards each other were blacks that came from that similar environment that I did, even if they came from another state. Okay, so there was guys from different states and girls from different states, but they all, when we told our stories to each other, the stories were the same no matter where they came from. Like we all kind of grew up kind of like inner city environment, urban environment, going to urban public school system. And we all had similar story, and we all had, that kind of gave us like a bond because we all came from a similar environment. I did know that I saw that there were other black students on the campus who did not gravitate towards our group. And what I have found out is that, not all, that kind of opened my eyes to like not all blacks grow up in that urban inner city public school, growing up, in that type of environment. I found out that some blacks may come from a suburban environment. They may come up in a home with parents that are, maybe their dad is a doctor, maybe mom's a nurse, and they grew up with a family that, owning their own home. They have money. They went to like a suburban school. So their life story, what they gravitated towards wasn't like the stories of the more urban inner city black type of story. Okay, so I kind of found that just after, I seen that they didn't gravitate towards our group. They were more like outside, and then like, the stories and things that we related to, they didn't really relate to that. Okay, so that was like kind of the first time I realized like that all blacks aren't the same. Okay, they didn't relate to the traditional stories that you would hear like inner city blacks tell, or some of the things that we did or grew up doing or things like that. So that was something that was one of the first eye openers, that when I went to college, even though there was only 30 of us on that campus, at the most, we weren't all the same. We didn't all come from the same environment. We didn't all have the same belief system. The same things that bothered one group, the inner city blacks, didn't bother some of the suburban blacks. The same beliefs that we had about how the world was, like how the world was, and how our interaction with like with white folks, for example, weren't the same. So that was something that I just wanted to share with you guys. So, when you looking at a group of black people, or I'm assuming this is the same for whites or Asians, or not all of them are the same. You can't really put everybody in the same group. You have to get to know that person, because their background, their experiences, how they live, how they grew up could be totally different. So they could both have the same color skin. They could both be black or African American and be from totally different backgrounds, and living conditions, and their beliefs and everything would be totally different. Their views of the world would be totally different. And going to college was one of the first times that I found this out. Thanks.